Hello guys, my name is Juvraj. I'm a product manager at Bluevec. I'll be leading a small demonstration about our Bluevec device today. Currently, we'll have our employee outside. He'll be flying a Mavic 3 for us. But before we get started here, I'm just going to explain about the UI that we presently have on the screen. Whenever you load up your Bluevec device, this is the UI that you will be greeted by. You have simple controls on the right-hand side, zoom in and zoom out. I'll zoom out for you guys here. Currently, we already have somebody flying a drone. This is currently not us, but somebody in the environment. But before we get started here, the little blue blinking antenna in the middle, that refers to the device's location. The orb around the actual antenna, that just refers to the device's range. But we'll have Mauricio get the drone started up here and have him take off. So like I explained before, we do have Mauricio outside flying a Mavic 3. With our detection system, we'll have the detection on the upper left-hand corner. We'll have the make and model, which is the Mavic 3. We'll have a default risk level, which is always going to be medium risk whenever a drone is detected. We'll have the ID, which refers to its serial number. Below that, we'll have the geolocation of the drone. We'll have the geolocation of the pilot. We'll also have the height, the distance away from the sensor, and the bearing from the sensor as well. We'll also have estimated speed from the drone and drone heading, so we'll know which way the drone is facing. Also, some other indicators that we'll have on the UI itself will be the pilot's location indicated by the controller icon there. We'll also have the drone's location indicated by the little drone tag. Also, you can see a small orange trace line following behind the drone. That will just give you an idea of where the drone has flown and also the pattern of the drone's flight path. We'll have Mauricio just walk around a little bit just to show you that we can track the pilot as well. While Mauricio is doing that, whenever you do have a detection, you do have a neat feature called the allow list. With that, you can add certain drones into your friendly list or allow list. It can easily be done just by clicking this button right here. Once that's done, the drone will be friendly. This comes useful if you do have a fleet of drones and you want to add it to the system. So whenever they are detected, that you'll know that those drones are friendly and you don't have to worry about them. You can also find a rolling list about those drones in our advanced tab. You go to allow list. Here you can find the list of specific drones that are whitelisted or allow listed. You can also manage this list as well by clicking the little trash can icon there. Or if that drone is being detected, you can just hit this button here and it will just go back to the default risk level. Also, with these risk levels, they can change as well. We do have a feature called defense zones. These zones can be set up on the UI. They're not geofencing zones, but rather UI zones that you can set up in order to indicate a specific zone where you don't want drones flying into. There's two types of zones. We have the warning zone and the danger zone. To set up these specific zones, you can go right here. You can set it up either in a circle or a polygon. I can show you guys the circle first. The circle you can just place, drag out, and make them as big as you want, place as many as you want as well. But once you've defined the actual area, you can decide between a warning zone or defense zone. If a drone enters a warning zone, it will just stay medium risk. If it's outside of that zone, it will go to low risk. We go to the defense zone. The defense zone will cause the drone to be high risk. You can also see any drone outside of a defense zone will be low risk. But these zones are helpful if you do want to set it up in a way to guard a specific area, such as a stadium or a prison. So if any drone enters that specific radius, you can alert the authorities and have the person apprehend the suspect. I can also show you the polygon as well. So the polygons work like the circle as well, but this time you can just draw any shape you want. This time we'll draw a warning zone just to show the change in color. So anytime a drone enters a specific zone, it will change its risk level depending on what zone is set up. But yeah, like I mentioned before, whenever the pilot does move around, we do have a trace line for him as well. It's indicated in blue, so anytime the pilot does make a move or any sudden movement away from the specific takeoff spot, we'll know where he'll end up. The one thing about the pilot's location is if the drone is not displaying the pilot's GPS, we won't know where the pilot will be. But in most cases, for all DJI drones that we have, we'll have the pilot's location. So that's a little bit about the defense zones. At this moment, we'll have Mauricio land the Mavic 3. But to reiterate my points, we do have the geolocation of the pilot, as you can see listed by this little icon here that looks like a drone. We also have the pilot's location as well, listed by the controller here. Again, just to reiterate again, we do have the orange trace line, which indicates the flight path of the drone. We have the blue trace line, which indicates the actual pilot's location. But for now, we'll just have Mauricio land the drone, and I'll go over some of the other features that our device has. So some of the other features that our device does have, we do capture events and keep history. Let's say, for example, you do miss this live event on the actual UI and you want to look back at the specific drone that was detected. You do have that capability by going to events. With this events list, you do have certain things that you can toggle. Right now, we're just looking at all events. We can toggle it to different things like high danger. Like I explained before, any drone that enters a danger zone listed as red, you can see here. So we'll just see all the drones that are high risk or high danger. Also has location. This one is the one that we're going to look at today. Just like we talked about before, we had Mauricio outside flying a Mavic 3. On this left-hand side, we have the listed drones that have been detected in the past. But same thing as a live detection, we do have the drone's make and model. We have its fingerprint ID. We do have the date and time that it was detected. We do have the flight path of the drone, the flight time of the drone. And we do have the starting geolocation of the specific drone. We also have the frequency that it flew at. We also have scene time. Scene times becomes very useful if you capture this drone a lot times. A drone is, whenever it is captured a lot, it will tell you in this scene time here. On the right-hand side, we do have the specific event. This events list is going to be updated whenever a drone is turned off. You can see in the background that Mauricio has turned his drone off now. So I go back here to devices, go back to events. Now it has updated here. So we go back to has location again. You look at Mauricio flying the Mavic 3 again here. But going back to my point again, on the right-hand side, we do have a playback of the specific event. Just like a live detection, we'll see two little icons indicating for the drone and the pilot. So you do have the ability to toggle through the specific video down here. You also have automatic tools to change the speed of the specific video. But just like a live detection, you'll see the orange trace line, which is the drone's trace line. You also have the blue trace line for the pilot. So if I go a little bit further here and zoom in to show you, you'll have the trace line of the specific pilot here. And also in this right-hand corner, you do have the geolocation updated for the specific drone here. And you also have the geolocation of the pilot listed here as well. You do have the drone wiki as well. This becomes useful if you don't know what the drone looks like specifically. It'll also tell you certain specs and speed things as well. That's a little bit about the events list. Also with this events list, you have the opportunity to put it on the actual UI. It's called the history map. So if you turn this specific mode on here, you can toggle it from the last 30 days, or you can make it a customized date range, maybe look back at the week or the month. So we'll look at the last 30 days here. Zoom out a little bit here. So for this specific device, all these little blue tags placed around the specific device here relate to drones that were detected in the past. And if you click on them, you'll get certain information behind it, just like events. You'll have the date and time of detection. You'll also have the make and model. You'll also have the ID or serial number. Again, you'll have the specific drone data as well, or the drone wiki. So if you click there again, you'll see the how the drone looks like and also its model name and stuff like that. You also again have the specific location of the drone at each height. You also have the specific location of the pilot as well. But just like events, you get the ability to look back at what was detected before and how the drone flew through the air. Also with this history list as well, you have the ability to change it to a heat map. This becomes useful for any person that is doing analysis on a certain area. So I'll zoom out a little bit more for you guys here. You can see that all those history events get bunched up into a big density map. So those big heat bursts that you see all around the map indicate to zones or little areas that drones have been detected the most or where they take off the most. This may become useful for people that are doing any sort of stakeout or maybe analysis in a certain area where they want to figure out where drones are taking off from the most or maybe are getting detected most, so they can set up places of investigation to catch those people. Next, we'll go on to statistics. Again, you do have the ability to export all of those drone events that you saw before. It's contained in the statistics tab. It's this little button up here. Once you click that button, you'll have the ability to download a CSV file. In that, you'll have all the events info, date and time, make and model, ID, specific geolocation points. Everything that you saw on the events page will be in that CSV file. You'll also have the ability to toggle the date and time. So if you want to look at the past week of detections or past month, you do have the ability there. Also with event statistics, you have 3 of them. You have most seen drone models, you have most seen drone IDs, you have drone events trends. With most seen drone models, it's pretty basic. It just takes a total number of drones seen in that specific time frame and totals them up. IDs is a little bit more specific since it's linked to a specific drone. It comes a useful tool if you're trying to figure out, a specific ID has been flying a lot and has been detected by our device, and you want to capture that ID. You can go to this specific page, go see if that ID has been caught a lot. If you capture it a lot, you can start to make the distinction that that ID is related to the specific drone. You can go capture that person after. Lastly, we have drone events trends. This is pretty simple. All it does is takes the date, it tallies up the duration in minutes, and it tallies up the number of events. That's a little bit about statistics. Next, we're just going to go back to the screen. You may have seen airplanes flying around as well, but our device does have ADS-B functionality as well. ADS-B can be turned on by going to the Advanced tab here. Once that's turned on, your device will capture ADS-B transponder information, whether it be a helicopter or a plane. Once you toggle your mouse over a specific airplane or maybe helicopter, it will give you information behind it, such as the altitude, call sign, brand, model, and owner. This becomes useful if you do want to set this up in an area where there's an airport in order to inspect the air traffic. And if a drone does take off and then you see a plane in the air, you can contact the authorities and stop something tragic from happening. Next, we'll go to our networking function. This functionality becomes useful if you do have multiple devices. It works sort of like this. You set one of the devices as a master. Once that's done, you'll see a list of the devices that want to be added in. It's as easy as just clicking this button here. It will pop the device into its network. And now the master will start to communicate with its children or node, and that node will start sending all of its information back to the master. So you'll have 2 devices on one screen. Instead of having 2 devices with 2 screens, you have the ability to have master mode on and have the ability to manage 2 devices from one screen. And then also, when you have master mode turned on and have a network going, you can go to the device management page and have the ability to manage those 2 or 3 devices that you have in your network. This networking mode can expand more than 3 sensors. Once you have 3 sensors or more, you have the ability to do TDOA or TDOA detection, and it becomes useful in situations where you have a bunch of sensors set up. But a little bit about device management. This simply just gives you the ability to manage the specific device and also keep an eye on the certain modules on the device to see if they're online. And also, you do have the ability to toggle the license here. The licensing system gives you the ability to update and downgrade the sensor in any way. But also, if the license is invalid, you have the ability to still use the sensor. You won't be able to have the ability to update the sensor. And also in this device management page, you do have the ability to move the sensor as well, or the device. The device itself relies on GPS or GNSS, or you have the ability to do it manually by just clicking the little pencil icon here. If you do want to lock this specific sensor to an area, all you have to do is just click manual and then enter the longitude and latitude. And then the last thing to touch on for the device management, you do have the ability to change its IP address. So if you do have a private network or want it in your own network, you have the ability to change it here and enter in a specific IP that you want to use. Next, we'll go over the cloud. The cloud works in a way where you have your sensor set up and connected to the internet. The device itself needs to be connected to the internet. All you have to do is take the Ethernet wire and connect it into your router and make sure that you are using the same network. Once that's done, you go to our cloud website, sign up, take that account information, and click this button here. It says unlinked device, but at the moment we have our cloud account linked to it. But before that, it says link device. Once you click that, you take the account information that you used to sign up at our cloud account or cloud website, and once that's done, you have the cloud account linked to the specific sensor, then have the ability to access the sensor in any area, whether it be at home or in a remote area where you have some sort of a 5G connection. You can sit anywhere in the world and access the sensor and see how it's doing and see what detections are happening. Also, with this cloud capabilities, you do have alerts in a sense of emails. In that email, you'll have the alert to indicate that you have a drone detected. It'll also show you the device ID to specifically tell you which ID to go look at, which sensor to go look at. Then also with that, again, just to reiterate my point, this gives you the ability to look at the sensor anywhere in the world, as long as you have internet connection, as long as the sensor has internet connection. Next, we'll just go over user management pretty quickly here. This gives you the ability to have certain users signed up onto the actual sensor. So if you do have a team that wants to use the sensor, you can make a bunch of user profiles and then manipulate the user profiles by just looking at the permissions here. To add users, all you have to do is go to this list here. Once you add the user in, you have the ability to manipulate their permissions. You go John, description. So we have a user generated password, you give that to John. So once he's created there, you have the ability to edit the permissions. So if you just want him to looking over the reports or maybe managing the offline maps, you just go one by one. Or if you just want to give them admin status, you can just check all. Once that's done, you can just click submit. Also, when you want to get rid of a user, easy as just getting removed here. Lastly, just quickly, you also have the ability to change your password. Pretty simple. Once you enter your current password, you can enter your new password. Last thing we'll go over to is the advanced side. We'll go to the remote ID. This remote ID list is updated through the cloud. So if you do have a cloud account linked to the specific sensor, you do have the ability to update this through the cloud. Remote ID just refers to a system that the FAA uses in the United States. It's another way to do some tracking on specific drones in the air. Wi-Fi learning is another thing as well. Our system can turn off and just become a Wi-Fi receiver. You can do this just by clicking this button here, or you can do this button here. Once you click Start Wi-Fi Learning, it will do this. It will turn off its internal sensor and start collecting Wi-Fi signals. This becomes useful if you do have a certain Wi-Fi drone that is not specifically in the library, but you do want to go ahead and see if something gets detected. So let's say, for example, you set the sensor up in a remote area where you know that Wi-Fi signals do not exist. You start the Wi-Fi learning. Let's say some Wi-Fi signals do pop up. You can start to make the distinction that it could be a Wi-Fi drone. In other instances, whenever you do turn this on, You'll just capture a bunch of Wi-Fi signals, and it will give you an idea that our sensor can capture the noise of Wi-Fi in the area. Next, we'll just go over the system. This just gives you the ability to manage some of the stuff inside the system itself. If you do use Imperial units, you can simply just click there and change it to Imperial. MGRS just refers to any sort of NATO country that needs to use the specific military grid reference system. So if you do not need to use Latin long, you do have the ability to use MGRS. Drone TTL just refers to the time to live. This becomes more specific if you want to change the amount of seconds that a drone remains on the screen once it's been turned off or stopped detecting. So let's say, for example, the drone has landed. By the time the person turns the drone off, it'll be 30 seconds until that drone disappears from the detection list. Next, we just have operations. This just keeps a comprehensive list of the operations that happen on the sensor itself. It will just look at the recent 7 days, or look at the recent 30 days, or all the operations. This becomes useful if you do want to, check who's been doing stuff on the sensor. So we'll check on the created time, the user that did it, the operation, and also the operation details. So, from earlier, I did create a user named John. I did set her permissions to all of them. And also I did remove the user. This just becomes useful. You just want to know who's been messing around on the sensor and also try to figure out what's been happening on the sensor as well. Lastly, just the upgrade. You have two ways. Check for upgrades is through the internet. So if you click this button here, and let's say that we do have a new update, and if your sensor is set up via the router, you do have the ability to just click this button and auto update just through the internet. If you're in an area without internet connection and you do have the upgrade package from us, all you have to do is click this and just drag and drop, and the update will happen. Our system does have the ability to run offline, but that does come at the cost of losing the online map. But we do offer the mode of having an offline map. All you have to do is just go to map and then click offline map. To upload a map, all you need to do is just click this button here, then just select the file from your file service. And once that's done, it will update onto here. And it will tell you which offline map that you have on there. Then to turn on the offline map, all you have to do is just click this button here, and then your offline map will be on. That wraps up our demonstration today. Thanks for watching. If you do have any other questions, please contact a sales representative at BlueVec today.